Durban after dark. I am a taxi driver who thought blackouts were the worst thing in my week. Then my wife's stories stopped matching her hours. One message changed everything. Room 307. Under dawn. The same brass church emblem with a tiny crescent scratch kept popping up. Single roses paid in cash. A white logistics sedan doing slow laps past our gate. At a light for all meeting, the spotlight was bright. Our neighborhood sat in shadow. Invoices said hospitality, not generator. We cracked open the crates, bricks. The trail led to Camp Dawn. Hidden USBs, a red bell test switch. Up on the ridge, a Mercury tilt and a diesel fuse ready to drop the clinic into black. We killed it. Sergeant Thembu, you're a witness, not a suspect. Sprinklers drowned a hotel shakedown. Fake pregnancy. Deep fake confession. I chose separation, pushed every receipt to the cloud, and the clinic lights stayed on. This is how a small lie tried to become a citywide blackout and did not. I am Spuziso, 35, a minibus taxi driver in Durban. My wife is Ayanda, 29, a nurse at the township clinic. We carry family on our backs, the whole black tax, and live between rolling blackouts and double shifts. We used to fight about money and schedules. Then her tone went sharp and cold, like every sentence had sandpaper on it. The lies started small and sticky. Night shift. But her scrubs smelled like a jazz club, not disinfectant. Phone died, but the charger was warm. Clinic audit, but a Harborview hotel slip sat in her pocket. I told myself it was stress. The picture still cracked. My friend Nality, a tech brain, noticed Ayanda turned off share location after years of us using it for safety. Toriro, who runs the Spaza shop, said Ayanda buys single roses late at night and always pays exact cash. Thalani, a former miner, heard a logistics sedan visiting the substation at odd hours while fuel kept going missing. 3 tiny warnings. I kept calling it coincidence. Ayanda got mean. If I offered a lift, she snapped, "Do not stalk me." If I asked when she was home, she rolled her eyes. "Report to your taxi boss too?" I saved dinner before load shedding hit and she said, "Too salty. Like your attitude. Love can survive tired. It chokes on contempt." The first big alarm rang itself. She forgot her phone on the couch when stage 4 hit. A message popped up from K. Room 307 again. Same time. Booked under dawn. Side door. No hearts. No names. Just instructions. I kept trying to explain it away. Maybe K is an auditor. Maybe Dawn is a vendor code. Then I saw her new wallpaper. A brass church emblem with a crescent scratch. I had seen that emblem at the Bridge of Mercy revival. The same emblem lay in our church plate last week like a coin that did not belong. Too many halos around one lie. I texted Nality, "Can you check this number?" She replied, "Harborview bookings, Wednesdays and Fridays, 3 hours each. Prepaid card. Profile name Dawn." My chest went hollow like someone yanked the floor out. I sat on Thalani's stoop. He poured from his dented flask and said, "Do not sign anything. Air first, fax second." At the shop, Toriro opened her red ledger. The rose dates matched the fuel losses. Nality sent one more screenshot. A community partnership, tender meeting tomorrow at 8 p.m. Speakers include Ayanda and a man named Cabello. Initial K. I brewed her favorite rooibos to talk like adults. She came home post-night shift. New lipstick. Borrowed clean scrubs. I asked gently, "Who is K? What is Dawn? Why Harborview?" She smirked. "Adult things. Do not insert yourself." Then, "Sign the bank papers tomorrow. Clinic needs a generator." I said, "There is no generator at the clinic." She smiled like I owed her and walked back into the night for another audit. I turned on voice memo because thoughts get loud in the dark. "I think she is lying," I said. "And I think it is not only about us. It is about money I do not want in my house." In my head, I heard the church bell from last week. Clean. 3 notes. Like a countdown. I sent Nality the number. She replied fast. Harborview bookings, Wednesdays and Fridays, 3 hours, prepaid card, profile Dawn. My chest felt hollow. Rain made the Harborview sidewalk shine like a lie in a suit. I set my phone to voice memo. The lobby smelled like lemon cleaner and money. Elevator up. 3rd floor. Room 307 at the end. The door opened before I knocked. A man in a gray suit stepped out. Good haircut. A thin burn on his wrist. He slipped a brass emblem into his pocket. Crescent scratch caught the hallway light. He walked past me like I was furniture. Ayanda came out next. New lipstick. No ring. She did not even flinch. "Oh, now you stalk hotels?" she said. I asked, "Who is Kay? What is Dawn?" She smiled like a teacher grading me. "Hospital consultant. Vendor code. Adult things. Relax." I said, "In a hotel room?" She rolled her eyes. "You would not understand tenders." She tried to push by. I blocked with my words, not my hands. "Do you love me?" She laughed. "Do not be dramatic." Load shedding hit mid-argument. Lights jumped to generator yellow. Somewhere a baby cried. Ayanda used the dark like a curtain and slid into the elevator. Her perfume stayed to argue with me. I took the stairs. Halfway down, 2 men stood by the service door. My memo caught every word. Fuel is low again. Use the church account. Room 307 is a business expense. I stood still and learned how shaking sounds on audio. Outside, rain cooled my face. I drove to clear my head and ended up parked by Toriro's shop. She opened her red ledger. Rose dates matched fuel loss nights. "Patterns do not lie," she said. Thalani patched a tire and shook his head. "Do not sign anything," he told me. Breath first, facts second. At home, the charger she forgot still glowed. A single rose lay face down in the sink. Her text arrived at 7:12 p.m. Night audit. Do not wait up. No heart. No thanks. Nality sent screenshots. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Community partnership meeting. Speakers. Ayanda and a man named Cabello. Initial K. She added, "Do not go alone." A knock hit my gate at 10:03. Courier. Small box. Inside, 1 red rose and a card. "For the brave. K." Exact handwriting as the hotel note. My hands shook. My name did not. I recorded a memo because silence eats people. "I think she is cheating," I said. "And I think the cheating is strapped to money." In my head, the church bell from last week rang 3 clean notes. It sounded like a countdown. I stared at the brass emblem photo on her phone wallpaper. Same crescent I saw in the hallway. Same emblem I saw in the church plate. Foreshadowing should be subtle. This one waved. I made tea for a calm that never came. I told myself I would talk, not shout. But a thought kept scraping me. If she lies for work, why would she tell the truth at home? I planned to talk like adults. Rooibos on the stove. Clean plates. Windows open to rain. I wanted the kitchen to smell like peace, not lemon cleaner from hotel halls. Ayanda came in post-night. Fresh lipstick. Borrowed clean scrubs. She walked past the mugs like props. I said, "Room 307. The text from K. The name Dawn. Why?" She smirked. "Vendor code. Audit work. Grow up." I kept my hands on the table. "Do you love me?" She laughed, mean and light. "You love attention." I played the stairwell memo. 2 men. Fuel is low. Use the church account. 307 is a business expense. She did not blink. "That is a legal recording," she said. "Also not my problem. Sign the bank papers so the clinic gets a generator." I said, "There is no generator." She rolled her eyes. "Then stop being poor about it." Door bang. 2 officers at the gate. Anonymous tip: you store stolen fuel in your taxi. Ayanda folded her arms like a spectator. They searched. Under a back seat I never use. A red jerry can with a hospital sticker. My throat closed. Ayanda's eyebrows said, "Told you." My phone buzzed. "Toriro, check your WhatsApp." CCTV stills from 5:03 a.m. White logistics sedan pulls up. A man slides a red can under my seat. Same plates, nality flagged. I showed the officers. Facts beat vibes. The steady one softened. Statement later, he said. Do not leave town. Ayanda hid a smile. When the gate shut, I asked, did you tip them? Did Kay? She adjusted her coat. Paranoia is not attractive. On her way out she added, almost sweet. Wear a clean shirt tonight. You embarrass easily. I sent everything to Nality. She replied, do not sign anything. The bank forms can make you the mule. Also, community meeting at 8. Ayanda and Cabello on stage. Thalani knocked with his quiet hands. Breathe, he said, setting down his dented flask. Decide slow. Rage writes bad contracts. At 4 p.m. A bouquet arrived from an unknown number. Single red rose on top. Card. For the brave. K. I put it in the sink and turned on the tap. Red bled into the drain like a small truth escaping. Load shedding hit. Kitchen dim. Inverter humming. Ayanda texted, night audit. Do not wait. Then a second message. A photo of pre-filled bank forms with my name in the signature block. I typed back, I will not sign. I will not carry your lies. My hands shook. My name did not. At dusk the white sedan rolled by slow, like a shark in a tank. It honked once. A joke without a punchline. I heard the church bell in my head again. 3 clean notes, like a clock loading the next hour. I packed a small bag for dignity. IDs, charger, copies. I locked the taxi, walked to Thalani's, and sat on his stoop like a boy. He let me be small, then said, if you go to that meeting, you go with your people. Nality texted, I am bringing the laptop and a power bank. Toriro, ledgers in my tote. Exact dates. Exact cash. We had a plan that was not pretty but was ours. The rain eased to a fine mist. The air felt like a room just mopped. I looked at our wedding photo on my phone and finally understood the difference between missing a person and missing who you thought they were. At 7:40 we left for the hall. The taxi engine sounded tired and honest. The white sedan followed at a polite distance. Ayanda's last message blinked on my screen. Be a man tonight. I whispered to myself, I will, and meant something new. We reached the hall at 7:55 p.m. Rain hanging like a curtain. A banner read light for all. On the table sat a brass church emblem with a crescent scratch. Foreshadowing in plain sight. Cabello took the mic first. Gray suit. Polite smile. Slides of stock generators and stock happiness. People clapped because pictures clap for themselves. Ayanda stepped up next. White coat. No ring. She looked past me like I was a burnt bulb. He's unstable, she told the room. He stalks me. Please respect my work. I kept my voice even. Room 307. Wednesdays and Fridays. 3 hours. Prepaid card under dawn. The room rustled. Cabello smiled wider. Ayanda rolled her eyes like it was a sport. Nality raised a hand. How many generators were actually delivered? She asked. Clinic reports 0, but 3 invoices say received. Where are they stored? Ayanda said, secure site. No address. The crowd murmured. That sound moves furniture. Thalani tugged my sleeve. Smell that, he whispered. Diesel. We slipped to a side door. 2 red cans with hospital stickers hid under a tarp. I took photos with shaking hands that still made steady pictures. Back on stage, Ayanda went bitchy and bright. My husband hides fuel to frame me, she said. I played the stairwell memo into the mic. Fuel is low. Use the church account. Room 307 is a business expense. Silence kicked the walls. Load shedding hit right then. The hall went black. Only the stage stayed lit on their private generator. It looked like a metaphor because it was. 2 men in branded jackets burst in with clipboards. Delivery confirmation, one said. Nality lit the paper with her phone. No generator listed. Just hospitality consulting. The room hissed like one person. Police arrived. Same steady sergeant from earlier. He followed our photos to the tarp. He radioed in evidence. Not rumor. Cabello yelled, witch hunt. The word sounded old and cheap. Someone started a small bonfire near the stage. Thelani stomped it out. A charred corner showed bank forms with my name pre-filled. They had planned to waive my signature even if my hand never moved. I took another photo because proof likes company. I faced the mic. I will not sign, I said. I will not be your mule. And I will not be your story. I put the brass emblem on the table and walked away. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. If you want truth, come to Camp Dawn. The text read. Bring the ledger. Bring the audio. Bring courage. Signed K. The white sedan idled outside like a patient threat. Ayanda watched me through the glass and smiled with no mercy in it. My heart felt like it had learned a new word. Boundary. We met at Toriro's shop to regroup. She poured tea that tasted like a hand on your back. Nality mirrored our files to two clouds. Thelani packed a small toolbox like calm people do before storms. We took my taxi. The white logistics sedan slid in behind us, polite and hungry. Camp Dawn looked like a scar in the bush. Fresh chain on the gate. Brass lock with a crescent scratch. Of course. Thelani clipped it. Inside, a corrugated shed held 3 generator crates. We popped one. Bricks. Label glued over lies. Toriro checked her red ledger. Same nights fuel goes missing, she said. Same nights Ayanda buys single roses. A security guard tried boredom as a job. Thelani pointed at the mud. Only your tire tracks. The guard blinked and opened the admin block. Inside, bleach, printer toner. A corkboard titled Bridge of Mercy with the same brass emblem. A side office had a keypad and a poster taped over the glass. Nality peeled it back, picked the lock with her brain, and found a small brass panel with that crescent brand. She cracked it. 2 label drives, 307, Hospitality, and Dawn, Tender, and a tiny red toggle under a plastic guard. Bell test. No bell here, only the habit of one. The hallway lights snapped off. Not load shedding. Someone's hand. Footsteps climbed. Ayanda's laugh hit first, then Cabello's TV voice. He lifted a phone. Transparency, he said, already live. Ayanda pointed at me like a volunteer culprit. He stalks, he records, he plants fuel, she said, sweet and sharp. I felt the room tilt and held the table instead of my temper. The white sedan bumped our taxi outside, soft, territorial. We had seconds. Nality slid the drives into her jacket and dropped 2 empty shells in the panel as decoys. Thelani killed the office light and tapped the wall. Service stairs, he whispered. We ran. Concrete sweat. Pipes hummed. A chain on the exit. Crescent lock again. Thelani listened to the metal, twisted, and the lock side open. A maintenance crawl led to a yard grate rusted into stubborn. Toriro used a butter knife. Women carry miracles. As a wedge. Together we shoved the grate free. We spilled into wet grass. The sedan idled 10 meters away, filming. We dove into the taxi and rolled for the gate. 2 Dawn Energy men stepped out with a pen and a pre-filled form with my name. Not tonight, I said, and drove through their official line. Grayville Co-working had keypad entry and cameras that do not take sides. Nality backed up both drives twice. Toriro photographed every screen with the ledger for scale. Thelani washed mud from our hands like a ritual. My phone buzzed with Ayanda's message. You made me look small. You will pay loud. I typed back, I will not love your lies. Outside, the sedan waited like a calendar. Inside, our proof breathed on 4 copies. For the first time all week, my name felt heavier and safer at once. Morning tasted like stale coffee and panic. Nality mirrored the drives again. Thelani said, lawyer first. He was right. At the clinic office, Ms. Jacobs listened without flinching. Step 1, freeze money, she said. We locked the joint account and flagged my signature. Right then the bank called, confirming your bridge loan for clinic equipment. I did not apply, I said. They showed me my e-signature. My name looked right, but the S leaned wrong. Ms. Jacobs took the phone. Freeze. Fraud file. Send sign-in IPs, she said, cool as rain. She filed a temporary protection order. No contact, no surprise visits, no documents without counsel. We stopped at my place so I could pack. IDs, clothes, copies. Ayanda pulled up like a TV host. No ring, fresh lipstick, a single rose on the dash. She walked in without knocking. Leaving your family, big man? I am leaving your stories, I said. She smiled. You will apologize tonight on stream. Sign the tender tomorrow. Then we are fine. Ms. Jacobs arrived and handed her the order. Ayanda skimmed it, looked at me and whispered, You never knew how to love me loud. Mean sentence in a pretty dress. Text from an unknown number buzzed my phone. Trade? Room 307. Noon. Come alone. Clean name for the drives. Signed K. A trap wearing cologne. We planned anyway. No originals, Ms. Jacobs said. Wire up. Door stays open. Naledi tucked a mic in my collar and routed it to the cloud. Thalani pressed his dented flask in my hand. Hold this so you do not clench fists. Harborview smelled like lemon cleaner and lies in suits. I kept the door wide. Cabello stood by the table, burn on his wrist like a signature. 2 folders waited, withdrawal of complaint and community statement. Read this on camera, he said. Say you edited audio, that your friends are vigilantes, that you love your wife. You get your taxi and you're quiet. I asked, and the tender fraud? People need light, not lectures, he said, pushing a pen that squeaked like a bad idea. The bathroom door opened. Ayanda stepped out in perfect hair and pity face. Sign Spoo, she said softly. For us. She lifted a small test stick. Pregnant, she whispered. The word punched me. Timestamp, Naledi said in my ear. Backside to camera. Ayanda's hand trembled. Batch code matched a shipment Torero stocked yesterday. New. Too clean. She dropped it in the bin and hissed. Fine. No baby. No mercy. Cabello slid the statement closer. Last chance, he said. I took the flask to my lips and did not drink. I set the pen down. No, I said. My name can live loud without you. Ayanda laughed like a plate breaking. Cabello's smile dipped. Under the table his thumb pressed a hidden switch. The lock clicked behind me. My earbud buzzed. Naledi's voice. Now. Naledi whispered in my ear. Thalani pulled the fire alarm in the lobby like it was his day job. The magnetic lock in 307 thumped open. Sprinklers hissed to life and baptized the lies. Ink bled on the community statement. The brass emblem steamed on the table. Hotel security rushed in with radios. Behind them came Ms. Jacobs with the steadier cop, Sergeant Mthembu. Ayanda coughed prettily and reached for me. My lapel mic stared at her fingers, not her face. Think of us, she whispered. I thought of me for the first time in months. Cabello hit go live anyway. Naledi mirrored the feed to the lobby TV. Split screen. My wet face and his thumb on a hidden button under the table. Guests started filming the film. Misdirection lost its hat. Ayanda grabbed the withdrawal of complaint to stuff in her bag. Ms. Jacobs stepped in, calm as a hinge. Temporary order, she said, holding up the paper. No documents. No intimidation. Sergeant Mthembu nodded and kept the camera rolling. A motorcycle backfired under the portico like a warning shot. Cabello slipped past security and sprinted. He jumped onto the bike like a regular sinner. They tore into the rain and were gone. Ayanda tried to follow. The sergeant blocked her with one sentence. Statement here, ma'am. Her answers were neat and false. The cloud took every syllable. I picked up the emblem. Cold. Heavy. The crescent scratch felt like a habit. I left it in the cup holder of my taxi as a reminder. In the lobby, Naledi scrubbed water off the drives and checked the mirrors. Backed. Safe. Torero squeezed my shoulder. You are still standing, she said. I was. Barely. Outside, the white logistics sedan idled like a calendar. The driver held up a sign that read, See you. Not a threat. A schedule. Naledi pinged a traffic cam. The motorcycle was not heading to the harbor. It climbed inland toward the decommissioned substation on the ridge. Talani's jaw set in that old miner way. "If they light that," he said, "the clinic goes dark." Ayanda texted me one line. "You made me look small." I typed back one line. "I will not love your lies." We piled into the taxi soaked and shivering. Proof under the seat. Flask on the dash. Emblem ticking in the cup holder like a coin that knows the ending. I put the van in drive. The sedan slipped in behind us. The road to the ridge waited like a dare. The climb to the ridge felt like driving into a held breath. Rain pushed sideways. The white sedan tailed us like a calm debt. Nality traced the motorcycle on traffic cams. Not the harbor. Inland. Toward the decommissioned substation everyone pretends not to see. We killed the engine and listened. A low, too clean hum. Someone fed this place private power. Talani crouched, hand on soil like a man reading a pulse. "Left is hollow," he said. "Old culvert. If they light it, the hill slides." We found a brass plate on a maintenance hatch. Crescent scratch again. I hate how that curve keeps showing up. I lifted the cover. Inside. A skinny glass tube full of mercury. Tilt it wrong and the circuit kisses itself. They recycle the same lie in nicer boxes. Headlights washed the fence. A Dawn Energy backy bounced in, followed by the bike. Cabello stepped off like the rain worked for him. Fresh rose in his lapel. He raised his phone and went live. "Citizen sabotage," he told the internet. "He loves a stage more than a plan." Nality whispered. "Gate relay jammed. Give me 60 seconds. 30, I said. She breathed code and moved her thumbs like a pianist with receipts. I slid my hand under the hatch lip. Cold cable. Beeswax-wrapped fuse. I pressed the emblem against the mercury tube to pin it flat. It stuck with a tiny kiss. Talani lifted the main fuse like a snake in Sunday clothes. "On 3, he said. We moved as one." He yanked. I steadied. Nothing blew. Relief arrived small and loud. Private security rolled up with big vests and bigger opinions. "Hands!" A guard yelled at me. He aimed at the wrong man. He did not aim at the crate marked diesel treatment that clinked like bricks. Toriro stepped into his line of sight with her red ledger. "Aim at the fire, not the water," she said. He blinked. He did not lower the gun. Ayanda walked out of the control room like a reveal on a game show. White coat. Tablet. No ring. She looked past me to the camera and said, "Sometimes love needs hard lessons." Her tablet flashed. Password required. Nality killed their lights from her phone. "Old firmware," she muttered. "Thank you, lazy procurement." Lightning hit a pole down the road and lit the ground like an X-ray. Fresh paint glowed near the drain. Arrows. A second fuse floated in diesel skin. We ran. The grate refused. Talani did culvert math, counted, and we ripped it free together. I belly slid, grabbed the wet beeswax, and drowned the ember in mud. Hissed like a rude cat. Then it died. Sirens cut the rain. Sergeant Mthembu arrived with a body cam and a tired face. He clocked the crate, the culvert, the guns. "Start with the box," he told security. Bricks. Always bricks. His camera loved the reveal. Cabello tried to slide out of frame. Talani's hand found his shoulder. "Stay for the performance you paid for," he said. Ayanda whispered, "If you had signed, we would be in Cape Town next month." I whispered back, "If you had loved me, we would not be here." Thembu looked at my mud hands. "Sir, you are coming with us," he said. My stomach dropped. "As a witness," he added. I almost laughed. I did not. I nodded. The white sedan finally turned on its lights and left like a bored shark. The bike revved twice and vanished into brush. Ayanda stared at me, not crying, not cracking, just calculating the next camera. Still hurt, but the hurt came with a light they do not sell. The kind that makes you see your own hands. They took my statement under a buzzing light that made everyone look tired. Sergeant Mthembu listened, asked for times and plates, and never once rolled his eyes. Nality handed over cloud links, checksum logs, and copies of the drives. He said, "Good. Truth that prints." He asked if I had a safe place to sleep. I said, Thelani's couch. He said, no alone nights. Alone nights make people go loud. Across the hall, Ayanda gave a tidy statement with dry eyes and soft voice. I stared at a poster about debt counseling so I would not stare at her. A junior officer ran in with a phone and a wince. A live stream had my face on the thumbnail and a caption that called me a plant. The clip was edited and angry. Thembu shut it off and sighed. The internet makes money, he said. We make cases. Ms. Jacobs filed orders while we ate fetcook from a street cart. She froze our joint account and flagged my signature. She sent preservation notices to the hotel and the substation. She said, do not sign love. Only sign case numbers. I never knew a sentence could feel like a jacket that fits. I walked to the clinic because guilt is a hard habit to break. The generator hummed like tired bees. A mother asked me if the lights would stay on tonight. I said, we will try, and meant it with all my bones. A photo of my taxi hit the association chat with thief husband stamped across it. Someone pasted flyers on a pole with glue that did not quit. I peeled one off and came away sticky. I wiped my hand on my jeans and told myself not to swallow salt. An envelope waited at my gate with a brass sticker and that crescent scratch. Inside was a single card. Tonight 7 p.m. Bridge of Mercy Forum. 2 lines at the bottom read, repentance or removal. Foreshadowing stopped whispering and started yelling. Ms. Jacobs called with calm that felt like a hand on my back. The forum is not a court, she said, but cameras will treat it like one. Do not let them bait you. If your voice cracks, stop. Let silence be your lawyer. I wrote a short statement and rehearsed to the toaster. I did not plant bricks. I did not steal fuel. I did not sign. I loved my wife. I will not love her lies. We reached the hall early. The banner still read light for all. The brass emblem sat on the table and flashed its little crescent grin. Cabello smiled like an end he had already sold. Ayanda stood beside him with perfect hair and no ring. Sergeant Mthembu took a spot in the back with his body cam humming. 3 clean bell notes rolled in from the church down the road. People turned their heads without thinking. Outside, the white sedan drifted past the windows like a shark in a tank. I gripped the mic and felt my hands go steady. If pain was coming either way, I would choose the pain that buys a morning. I took the mic and kept it simple. I did not plant bricks. I did not steal fuel. I did not sign. I loved my wife. I will not love her lies. Silence held for 3 heartbeats. You can hear a room decide if it will listen. Nality plugged in the drives. On the projector, the hatch, the mercury tube, the culvert, the crate of bricks, Ayanda's tablet asking for a password, security aiming at the wrong men. No music, just receipts. Toriro stood beside the screen with her red ledger open to the rose dates. Thelani watched the doors like a bouncer who prays. Ayanda smiled into the cameras. Very dramatic, she said. He edits audio. He harasses me at work. He loves attention more than patience. Her voice sugar-coated the knife. Cabello glided in with big words. Complex tender environment. Citizen interference. Witch hunt. The crowd wobbled. Half frowned at him. Half frowned at me. That is what lies by confusion. 3 clean bell notes floated from the church down the road. People turned their heads like trained birds. Right then a utility tech slipped in and whispered to Sergeant Mthembu. Power surge near the clinic, sir. Misdirection tried to earn its salary. Eyes swung back to me. Cabello pointed. See? They hacked the grid. Ms. Jacobs stepped forward, calm as a hinge. Timestamp the bell, she told the clerk. Also note counsel has filed preservation on clinic logs and camera footage. The clerk scribbled like the pen owed her. A small adult thing that mattered. Ayanda took the emblem from the table, held it like a chalice. The crescent scratch flashed. She said, I fight for light. My husband fights me. Someone in the back muttered, Then where are the generators? You could feel the room lean toward the question. Nality jumped to a split screen. Left, the forum. Right, a live map of Camp Dawn and the ridge. Green dots, The relays we froze. Red dots. New pings. Inland. She said, while we argue, someone moves the show. The white sedan ghosted past the windows again. One slow honk like a smirk. Thelani touched my elbow. Breathe, he said. I did. My voice stayed even. I am filing for separation, I told the room. I will not sign your papers. I will keep helping the police. If you think I want the spotlight, trade with me. It got quiet in a way that felt like respect, not pity. Sudden event. The hall's private generator hiccuped. Lights dimmed, then steadied. A hiss near the stage, small bin fire trying to be a metaphor again. Thelani stomped it out without ceremony. On the half-burned scrap. My name pre-filled beside community statement. I held it up. Even my signature gets cast before I show up, I said. A few laughs broke the tension. Relief likes honesty. Sergeant Nthembu's radio crackled twice. Urgent. He nodded to me, then to Ms. Jacobs. Continue, he said. We are moving on the ridge. He took 2 officers and slipped out like a fact, leaving the room to feelings. Ayanda leaned into the mic. Pity face turned to steel. Wear a clean shirt when you apologize, she said softly. Just for me, but loud enough for the front row. I set the emblem back on the table, crescent up like a warning. Some symbols tell on themselves if you let them. We broke for 10 minutes. People lined up for coffee and conclusions. Nality whispered. They will try one more spectacle. Toriro tucked the ledger under her arm. Thelani stood by the exit like a door that had chosen a side. I stared at the brass curve and finally believed the simplest foreshadow. They do not want power. They want a show. Tonight I would not be part of it. The 10-minute break tasted like burnt coffee and gossip. People wanted a neat ending they could carry home in a cup. Nality leaned in. They will try a last stunt, she said. Do not give them your face. The MC tapped the mic. Surprise witness, he announced. A church elder in a neat suit took the stage with a paper. He said he had an affidavit that I planted evidence. Crowd noise rose like rain on a tin roof. Ms. Jacobs asked for the document. Blank signature line. Wrong date. Red herring with lipstick. The room wobbled, then steadied. 3 clean bell notes floated from the church again. People turned like trained birds. The projector glitched. Every phone in the front row pinged the same airdrop. A video of me, confessing. I watched my own mouth say lines I never said. The eyes were wrong. The blinking too slow. Nality walked to the mic calm as a hinge. Check the earrings in the background, she said. Those are from Monday. Deepfake. Cute but lazy. She split the screen. Our live feed versus the fake. Blink rate side by side. A few gasps. A few Performance lost a little oxygen. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Final offer. It read. Go live. Apologize. Or the clinic goes dark in 5. Signed K. I looked at the clock. 7:43. I could stay here and argue with cameras, or I could drive to the place that would hurt people if I chose ego. Thelani didn't make me say it. He just stood and nodded toward the door. Toriro tucked the ledger under her arm. Nality killed screen share and pulled the drives. Ms. Jacobs whispered, I will hold this room if they spin. Go. Outside, the air felt like wet wire. The white sedan waited with the patience of salary. It rolled forward to block us. The motorcycle idled by the curb, visor down, brass emblem bright. The rider tossed a coin under our van. A red dot blinked in its center. Tracker or relay, same game. Nality did not panic. She snapped a fridge magnet off a metal sign and slapped it over the coin. Blink slowed, then died. Box it, she said. Thelani scooped it into a coffee tin and kicked it under a parked bakkie. We rolled out. The sedan picked a new angle late by a beat. We hit the clinic road. Streetlights flickered like bad thoughts. Through the windows I saw mothers rocking babies. Nurses counting syringes by phone light. The generator coughed, steadied, coughed. Ayanda's voice carried from the side entrance, smooth as a catalog. Temporary drop in the pantry, she told a junior nurse. Sign receipt. Dawn energy to follow. We walked in on diesel and lemon cleaner. Pantry door propped. 2 crates marked, generator. Delivered. Thelani tapped one with his knuckles. Hollow laugh. We pried. Bricks. Again. A junior nurse put a hand to her mouth. She whispered, "They told us you were the problem." I said, "Believe what turns the lights on, not what turns the camera on." Ayanda stepped into the doorway, white coat perfect, pity face loaded. "You cannot keep doing this," she said, loud enough for anyone who needed a quote. "You are ruining care." I pointed at the crate. "Care does not come with bricks," I said. My voice surprised me. Steady, not loud. Sergeant Mthembu's radio crackled through the hall speaker. "Ridge secured. Secondary fuse neutralized," a voice said. "Moving a unit to the clinic." Ayanda's eyes tightened, just a little. It looked like a dress that finally pinched. She tried one last turn of the knife. "Come home with me," she whispered. "Sign tonight. We will fix this tomorrow." For months I would have cracked. Tonight I heard 3 clean bell notes inside my own chest. "I am going to my mother's," I said. "And to the lawyer's. You can keep the show." The generator caught a clean rhythm like it chose us. Mthembu's blue lights washed the wall. He stepped in, saw the crates, and just nodded at me like a decent man. "Witness, not suspect," he said. My knees almost gave, but I stayed standing. We carried the empty crate lids outside. The white sedan drifted past, window down, driver filming with a lazy wrist. I did not perform for it. I loaded my friends into the van and put the emblem back in the cup holder. Crescent up. Some symbols tell on themselves if you let them. I chose the clinic over the forum, silence over applause, proof over performance. It hurt less than I expected and more than I wanted. But it bought me a morning. Morning smelled like disinfectant and diesel. The clinic kept humming. My chest did too. Quieter than last night. Not calm, but pointed. Ms. Jacobs called at 8 a.m. with a voice like a working hinge. "Hearing is set," she said. "Temporary order stands. Separation papers ready for service. No contact unless through counsel." I wrote it down even though my hands knew it already. I drove to my mother's house with Thelani riding shotgun. The road felt less like a throat. Mom opened the gate in slippers and a scarf that could end wars. She looked at my face. She said nothing. She just pressed my head to her shoulder until my breath remembered the right speed. Nality mirrored the drives again from Mom's kitchen table. Checksum, cloud, coffee. Her rhythm is a lullaby for facts. Toriro dropped breakfast on a plate and said, "Sugar first, court later." I ate like a man who finally believes food. And a smear went live while I chewed. A clip with my name and the word abuser in the title. Her face arranged itself into pity. A faint bruise sat on her wrist like a staged whisper. Nality reverse-searched the still and snorted. "Stock photo filter," she said. "Right down to the artifact line by the thumb." I wanted to laugh. I wanted to sleep. I settled for breathing. Sudden event. The bank pinged Ms. Jacobs. Attempted transfer on the frozen loan. Same bridge equipment memo. IP trace to Camp Dawn admin fraud file updated. My name did not budge. For once, we scheduled a police escort to collect the rest of my stuff. No solo scenes. No hallways where stories can bend. I packed clothes, photos, and the cheap mug I actually like. I left the fancy framed picture of our wedding on the wall. Can guard the empty. Outside my gate sat another envelope with that brass sticker and the crescent scratch. Bridge of Mercy Forum, Part 2. It read. Repentance or removal. They were franchising shame now. I slid the paper into a Ziploc. Evidence, not invitation. Mom made tea and asked one question that mattered. "Do you still love her?" I stared at the steam. "I love who I thought she was," I said. "And that person keeps not showing up." Mom nodded like a judge who knows the law of mornings. The taxi association chat turned again. Half the comments called me a hero. Half called me a clown. I muted the thread. Silence felt like a small paycheck. Sergeant Mthembu texted 2 photos from the ridge. The crate opened for the body cam. The culvert fuse. He captioned them, "Witness, not suspect." I saved the images to a folder named Spine. Nality built a tiny site with our full timeline. She used clean fonts and ugly facts. No drama, just receipts. She said, "If they clip us, we will be longer somewhere else." I blessed the internet for once. Anda messaged Ms. Jacobs, not me. "Tell him to stop humiliating me," she wrote. "Tell him to take down his lies." Ms. Jacobs replied with the order number and a clock. Law has its own music. Thalani sat on Mom's stoop with his dented flask and quiet hands. He said, "You can grieve and still testify." He said, "You can miss her and still not go back." He said, "Both can be true and still be right." I let that settle where my anger lives. I showered in a bathroom that does not judge. I put on a clean shirt because Ayanda told me to and I wanted to steal the insult for myself. I slipped the brass emblem into my pocket, crescent up. Not as a curse, as a reminder. We printed my statement and 3 copies of the ledger pages that matter. We numbered the exhibits because order is a kindness. We checked the drives. We checked the cloud. We checked each other's faces. On the way to the courthouse, the white sedan slid behind us like a habit that refuses to quit. No horn, no rush, just that red recording dot blinking its lazy blink. I did not give it my eyes. I gave the road my hands. I thought about vows. I thought about roses bought with exact cash. I thought about room 307 and a test stick still wet with a lie. I thought about the bell in my chest ringing 3 clean notes last night. I decided to hear it again today. At the courthouse door, Ms. Jacobs met us with a stack of paper and a human smile. "Today is not the end," she said. "It is the first day that counts." I nodded. I walked in. My name felt like it had bones and a pulse. The courthouse smelled like dust and copy toner. Ms. Jacobs lined our exhibits like dominoes, drives, ledger pages, photos of crates, the culvert fuse. My palms sweated, but my voice did not. Ayanda arrived in a white coat and pity face. A faint bruise sat on her wrist like a staged whisper. Her lawyer called me unstable and obsessed with optics. Ms. Jacobs stayed calm. "Receipts, not vibes," she told the magistrate. Nality walked the court through metadata like a tour guide. Hotel bookings under dawn. Prepaid card trail. Deepfake confession with blink rate glitches and Monday background earrings. She kept it simple. The room actually learned something. Sergeant Mthembu testified next. Bodycam clips. Bricks in generator crates, the mercury tube under the hatch, the culvert fuse drowning in mud. He said the words I needed. Witness, not suspect. My knees almost quit and then remembered their job. Ayanda tried one last pivot. "Pregnant," she said softly, hand to stomach. Ms. Jacobs asked for the test, batch, and timestamp. The court saw the pharmacy batch from yesterday on the big screen. The pity face cracked like a teacup. Ruling time. Protection order extended. No contact outside counsel. No surprise visits, no documents for signature, no public smears. Preservation notices to Harborview, Camp Dawn admin, and the Dawn Energy email domain. Financial freeze upheld. Exclusive use of my taxi formally confirmed. The magistrate ended with the sentence that unclenched my jaw. Let the investigation run without theater. Outside, the white sedan idled like a bored shark. The driver filmed me and yawned. I did not give him a frame. We walked past like people who had paperwork. On the steps, a church elder tried to mutter, "A real man keeps his wife." Thalani answered without heat. "A real man keeps the truth." The elder looked at his shoes and found nothing helpful. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, crescent watermark. Final bell, 8 p.m. Repentance or removal. It read. Signed K. Misdirection with perfume. Ms. Jacobs put a hand on my shoulder. "You do not need their stage," she said. "Tonight you choose oxygen." I nodded. For once, the simple choice felt like muscle, not theory. We went to my mother's. Nality mirrored the drives again. Toriro cooked and made me drink water like it was a contract. Thalani sat on the stoop with his dented flask and said, "Stand in the morning you paid for." At sunset, the church bell carried 3 clean notes across the township. For the first time in weeks, it did not sound like a countdown. It sounded like a clock starting again. By 6 p.m., we had a plan with backups. Nality scheduled a full dump of our files to 3 newsrooms and 2 watchdog groups at 8:05 p.m. If my phone went dark, the truth would not. Toriro printed the key ledger pages and sealed them in a bakery bag labeled Fet Cook. Thalani parked my taxi in Mom's yard and put a neighbor's baccy in the driveway as a decoy. Ms. Jacobs texted, "You do not need their room. Choose oxygen." At 7:50, the white sedan idled down the block like a lazy shark. The motorcycle hovered by the corner, brass emblem winking. I pictured the forum banner, the crescent scratch, the mic. I stayed on the couch and drank water like it was a promise. 8 o'clock. 3 clean bell notes rolled through the township. Mom looked up. "Church?" she asked. Thalani shook his head. "Too close," he said. We stepped outside. The sound came from a lamppost box, not the steeple. Somebody had strapped a little speaker to the base and timed it. Misdirection in a choir robe. The white sedan crept forward and tossed a flyer at the gate. "Repentance or removal," it read, stamped with the crescent mark. The motorcycle revved, then cut away toward the clinic road. Nality's laptop pinged. A new relay blinked near the pantry camera. "They will try the small fire again," she said. "Noise for the live stream." Sergeant Mthembu's blue lights slid around the corner like a quiet decision. 2 unmarked cars peeled off toward the clinic. We followed on foot with the neighborhood watching. Phones up, no heroes, just witnesses. At the clinic, the pantry door was propped with a brick that wanted to be famous. A fuse of beeswaxed cloth snaked toward a bin. Ayanda stood in the hallway with a clipboard and a face that begged a close-up. Cabello held his phone high and murmured, "Transparency. He loves that word like sugar loves tea." Thembu walked in and never raised his voice. "Hands," he said. He pointed at the fuse. "Step away." He pointed at the bin. "Empty it." A junior nurse dumped it upside down. No fire, only crumpled forms pre-filled with my name under community statement. Ayanda spotted me and tried the soft blade. "Come home," she whispered. "Sign and stop this." For months that line would have cut me open. Tonight it just sounded like work for a camera I do not feed. Nality knelt by the lamppost box outside the pantry window. Inside sat a cheap Bluetooth speaker and a timer app stuck at 20 hours. She filmed it, then zoomed to Cabello's screen. Same timer, same chime app, same bell tone. "Bell does not prove sin," she said into her mic. "It proves planning." Mthembu clicked cuffs on Cabello without ceremony. Fraud, tampering, intimidation. Cabello tried one last line for the lens. Citizens interfering with. The rest drowned under the clinic generator deciding to run clean. Ayanda's face held for 3 long beats, then cracked at the edges. She touched her stomach, searching for a script that used to work. Ms. Jacobs stepped beside me and did nothing theatrical. She just handed Ayanda the updated order with the hearing date circled twice. Ayanda read it, looked up at me, and finally spoke without a mic. "You never loved me loud," she said. It landed dull, old, small. I did not answer. There are endings that do not need dialogue. I handed Mthembu the bakery bag. He slid out ledger pages that still smelled faintly of sugar. "Paper beats performance," he said. For once, I believed a sentence right when I heard it. At 8:05, Nality's scheduled dump went live. Timeline, receipts, body cam clips. No music, no edit. My phone lit with pings I did not open. The internet can eat without me. We walked back to Mom's under a sky that had finally remembered how to be quiet. The white sedan was gone. The motorcycle too. Only a torn flyer clung to the gate, crescent half-ripped. I peeled it off and dropped it in the bin without ceremony. Inside, Mom poured tea and asked nothing. Thalani leaned the dented flask against the emblem in the cup holder like a bookend. Toriro texted a single line to our group. Clinic lights stayed on. Nality added, "And so did ours." I lay down on a couch that forgives. Somewhere far off, the real church rang one slow note. Not a countdown. A clock starting again. I signed the separation papers and slept at my mother's with the window cracked to honest air. No fireworks. Just a smaller ache that did not need an audience. Ms. Jacobs will handle the divorce next. I will handle mornings. Cabello sits on charges that look like receipts, not rumors. Sergeant Mthembu keeps saying the same sentence that steadies me. Witness, not suspect. Ayanda stopped calling and now speaks only through counsel. Her last public post said, "The truth will emerge." It did. Keeps doing it one document at a time. I still drive the taxi. People ask for updates when they climb in. I tell them the clinic lights stayed on. I tell them bricks do not heal anyone. Some say I am brave. Some say I am petty. I let both pass through the open window. At night I hear 3 clean bell notes in my head. They used to feel like a countdown. Now they feel like a clock that belongs to me. I keep the brass emblem on my dashboard crescent up, not as a trophy but as a reminder. Pay attention to the curve when they swear it is a circle. I miss who I thought Ayanda was. That grief is real. I do not miss the performance. That relief is real too. Both truths sit at the same table and share the same cup of tea. What I learned, for anyone reading this on a bad night, document everything. Back up twice. Do not sign love. Sign case numbers. Bring witnesses to rooms that eat people. If someone demands a stage, choose oxygen. If a lie asks you to carry it, put it down where the camera can see. When your body rings a bell, steady, clean, 3 notes. Believe it. I forgave myself for staying too long because hope is a muscle that sometimes pulls the wrong way. I thanked the people who stood next to me when my name shook. Nality for mirrors and clouds. Toriro for ledgers and sugar. Thalani for quiet hands and a dented flask. My mother for a shoulder that trained my breath. Decent officers and a lawyer who worked like a hinge. Tomorrow I will change my route so I do not pass Harborview. I will cook my own stew and salt it less. I will drop a box of diapers at the clinic because babies do not care about adult pride. I will keep choosing mornings over microphones. If you are where I was, you cannot outlove a lie. You can leave it standing in a room full of witnesses and walk toward the door that opens. It will hurt. It will also heal. 3 clean bell notes. Open the gate. Drive.